clear the grommet, so the discharge. And I was getting my auntie to perform the Valsalva, so to close her mouth, pinch her nose and blow. And what that will do is force air up the nose, up the eustachian tube, and force any discharge in the middle out of the grommet. She also used the Otovent nasal balm. We're using that during the procedure, so I'm cleaning the grommet and getting her to blow into her nose via the balloon, and we can see we're forcing this fluid out, and you can see it's just dribbling out of the middle ear through the grommet and collecting, and then going back in, suctioning all the discharge, and just repeating that cycle. So it's quite tedious work. This video may not be for everyone, you're basically going to be watching me do this all the time for the next 45-50 minutes. So if this is something that the kind of video you kind of enjoy, I do apologise, and feel free to come back when I've got another earwax removal video. But I want to upload this because these are really interesting cases for me, and my auntie really wants me to upload it as well. And I know a lot of clinicians, audiologists will would want to watch stuff like this, because it's a issue that we have. We see patients with glue all the time, so it'll just help other professionals to deal with the infection and how to kind of overcome its challenges and get on top of the infection and eventually beat it. So again, just cleared the discharge. My auntie closed the mouth, pinched the nose, and she was using the balloon actually, so it has the same effect. And we're just forcing the discharge out of the middle ear through the grommet. And some of it was trickling down the throat as well. And once I was comfortable, I got as much discharge out as possible. Again, just blowing the nose, forcing. You can see some air bubbles there. So we know when she's closing her mouth, pinching her nose, or using the Otovent balloon, there is air going up the eustachian tube. We've got some air bubbles there, and it's trying to force any fluid out. Now, at the original, on the original episode, video 1235, and at the beginning of this video, you'll see this discharge is quite, it's not very viscous, it's quite watery. And as every visit is kind of 2 or 3 days apart, the discharge is getting thicker, it's getting drier, so we know the drops it's working, and you'll notice the consistency of the discharge changes. Now, what's really, really challenging here is my auntie's got a very narrow ear canal, and the grommet is positioned on what we call the anterior-inferior quadrant. So in the left ear, the grommet is essentially southwest, and my auntie's also got a grommet in the right ear, and that's inserted at southeast. And the reason why the grommet's inserted in those positions is because there's nothing behind the eardrum in that region that can potentially become damaged by inserting a grommet. If it was positioned southeast, then you've got the long process of the incus there. You've also got the chorda tympani, all that's a bit higher up. But there are structures there that potentially can come in contact with the grommet. So this region is the best region. But my auntie's got a very narrow isthmus, and you can see as the ear canal approaches the eardrum, it narrows, and the grommet is almost tucked in behind the canal wall. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's hidden behind it. So to get access to the opening of the grommet, it's really, really challenging, because we don't want it to make contact with the ear canal. You can see the skin is slightly grey, so I'm having no choice but to glide the grommet, the suction probe, or I'm trying to avoid actually making any contact, but there is unfortunately some contact.